LeBron back to Miami?
I bet you do.
Huh? With Bobby P and Giannis?
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, let me text LeBron. Hold on, let me text LeBron.
Word just dropped. LeBron James is being traded back to Miami. Giannis had a reaction nobody saw coming. Bam's response said even more. And if you think you already know what this means, think again. What I'm about to break down changes everything we thought we knew about this offseason. The signs were all there. Once you see what's really being built in South Beach right now, you'll never look at this the same way again. Let's get into what actually happened, because Miami didn't just make a trade, they sent a message that shook the entire league. Pat Riley sent Tyler Herro, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Cale Elware, Kasparis Jakusionis, and 5 future draft picks to Milwaukee. 5 picks, multiple first-rounders, a 2031 first, a 2033 first, a 2030 first-round swap, and a 2033 second. Years of roster building, young pieces, future flexibility, all gone in one move. In return, Miami got Giannis Antetokounmpo and Bobby Portis. Fast, aggressive, the kind of swing only a franchise with championship DNA and a president who's done this before would dare to make. Pat Riley has built super teams before. He knows exactly what it takes, and he decided this was the moment to go all in. But even before that trade could settle, something else was already brewing. Because Giannis isn't just a great player, he's a generational force. Even in an injury-shortened 2025-26 season, with only 36 games played, he still dropped 27.6 points, 9.8 rebounds, and 5.4 assists per game. That's what Miami just added. That's what they placed next to Bam Adebayo, who just had one of the most incredible individual seasons any center has put together in years. Bam dropped 83 points in a single game against Washington in March, the second highest single-game total in the NBA this year. Defensive anchor, short roll creator, switchable defender, elite facilitator. And now these two share a front court in Miami. The second that became real, the internet had one question. If Miami already has Giannis and Bam, who else is coming? That's when LeBron James entered the picture. Not as a rumor, not as wishful thinking, as a real possibility that an actual insider put on record. Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald, one of the most connected Heat reporters alive, reported that Miami could try to bring free agent LeBron James back to South Beach using their full mid-level exception. Then came 4 words that broke the internet. Nothing can be ruled out. That sentence from someone who covers this team every single day was not accidental. It was a signal, and the internet went crazy. Then an image poured fuel on everything. Just one day after the trade, Giannis and Bam were spotted together courtside at Michelob Ultra Arena in Las Vegas, side by side, attending a WNBA game between the New York Liberty and the Las Vegas Aces. Bam's girlfriend, A'ja Wilson, the reigning WNBA MVP, was playing that night. Giannis brought his family, including his son Liam. And right there on the scoreboard, a message. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 2-time NBA MVP and newest member of the Miami Heat. Fans lost it. One person posted that Heat games were going to be terrifying. Another said they couldn't wait to watch these two go to work.
And underneath all that hype, the LeBron conversation kept getting louder. Because people weren't just watching 2 great players hanging out. They were watching something being built, and everybody wanted to know how far it was going to go. To understand why the LeBron idea caught fire, you have to go back, way back. Because this isn't just about cap space or basketball fit. This is a story that started over 15 years ago and never truly ended. July 8, 2010, LeBron James, back-to-back league MVP, sat down on live TV and announced he was leaving Cleveland to take his talents to South Beach. He teamed up with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, 3 players from the same 2003 draft, 1st, 4th, and 5th picks overall, uniting in one city with one mission: win championships. The reaction was unlike anything basketball had ever seen. Jerseys burned in Cleveland. Owner Dan Gilbert published a furious open letter that read more like a personal betrayal than a business statement. Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson both criticized the move. LeBron went from beloved superstar to the most polarizing athlete in America almost overnight. The first season started with massive expectations and ended in disaster. At the welcome rally, LeBron told the crowd they were going to win not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7 championships. That moment became legendary, but not in the way he wanted. Miami went 58-24 and lost to Dallas in the finals. LeBron averaged just 17.8 points in that series. The criticism was brutal and relentless. But then something incredible happened. LeBron came back transformed. He stopped playing the villain. He reconnected with why he loved the game. He worked, he studied. He arrived for year 2 with a completely different level of focus, and everything changed. What followed over the next 3 seasons is one of the most dominant stretches any player has ever produced. Miami went on a 27-game win streak in 2012-13. They reached the finals all 4 years LeBron was there. They won titles in 2012, beating Oklahoma City in 5, and in 2013, beating San Antonio in 7 games in one of the greatest finals ever played. LeBron won finals MVP both times. He won back-to-back league MVPs in 2012 and 2013. The numbers were historic. The 2013 finals was the defining moment of his career. Game 6, Miami on the brink of elimination, Ray Allen stepped back and hit one of the most famous threes ever to force overtime. Miami won. LeBron led them through Game 7. He had done it. Won back-to-back titles in the city everyone said he never should have gone to. Every negative word written about him looked completely different now. But here's what matters most for this current conversation. It's not just the rings. It's what Miami did to LeBron as a basketball player. He arrived as an explosive physical force who needed the ball in his hands at all times. He left as something far more sophisticated. Miami is where LeBron became a true point forward, where he learned to control the pace of a game instead of just dominating individual possessions, where he learned to trust teammates in the biggest moments. Eric Spoelstra's system demanded elite basketball IQ, and LeBron absorbed every single lesson faster than anyone expected. Miami didn't just give LeBron championships. Miami gave him the complete basketball education that made him the most finished player the sport has ever seen.
He left in 2014, went back to Cleveland, and in 2016 delivered a championship, coming back from 3-1 against Golden State in one of the most emotional title runs in NBA history. Then came LA in 2018, the bubble championship in 2020, and year after year of competing and evolving, until the 2025-26 season, where 41-year-old LeBron made history, becoming the first player ever to compete in his 20th NBA season. He averaged 20.9 points, 7.2 assists, and 6.1 rebounds on 51.5% shooting across 60 games. In the playoffs, without Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves due to injuries, he elevated and averaged 23.2 points, 7.3 assists, and 6.7 rebounds before the Lakers were swept by Oklahoma City in the second round. At 41, the production was real, the impact was real, the argument for adding him to a championship roster was still very real. So why was there even a conversation about LeBron leaving LA? Because his 2-year, roughly $101 million deal expired after this past season. Extension talks never fully closed. The Lakers finished with playoff elimination in the second round. With the franchise's future still being shaped around Luka's return to health, LeBron's next move became genuinely uncertain. Insider Jake Fisher reported there is real belief, coming directly from Inside Clutch Sports, that it's more likely than not LeBron leaves Los Angeles rather than stays. ESPN's Brian Windhorst said LeBron's focus was on getting something done with the Lakers.
Mark Spears said LeBron was likely coming back, but nothing was signed, and in that window of uncertainty, every other option was still on the table. Cleveland was mentioned, Golden State was mentioned, and Miami, the city where LeBron first became a champion, the city that transformed his career, started being talked about with real seriousness the moment the Giannis trade dropped. The LeBron of 2026 is a completely different player from the one who arrived in Miami in 2010. That LeBron needed to be the center of everything. Every defensive scheme in the league was designed specifically to stop him. But the LeBron of 2026 operates on a completely different level. He controls pace, he reads defenses before plays fully develop, he makes decisions early in the shot clock, he conserves energy for the moments that actually decide games. His 51.5% shooting tells that story clearly. And that evolution is exactly what makes a Miami fit in 2026 so interesting on paper, because the team around him already has 2 elite interior forces who don't need the ball in isolation. Giannis attacks downhill and creates chaos through pure power and length. Bam facilitates the reads and basketball intelligence. LeBron in this system becomes the primary initiator, the one who sets the table and controls the tempo. The role Dwayne Wade once played beside him, now executed with an extra decade of championship wisdom on top. Bam's value in this conversation deserves way more attention than it's getting. Over the past several seasons, Adebayo evolved into one of the most complete connective players in the entire league. Elite short roll creator, one of the best switch defenders in basketball. His handoff execution, screening angles, and defensive communication are among the best at his position. And most importantly, Bam doesn't need touches to be effective. He impacts the game through movement and decision-making, without pulling the offense away from the main initiator. That is exactly the type of player LeBron has always played best beside. Think about what actual possessions look like with all 3 on the floor. LeBron brings the ball up and initiates from the top. Giannis lifts to the elbow or positions at the short corner. Bam sets the high ball screen. LeBron reads the defense. He either attacks himself, hits Giannis cutting from the backside, or dumps it to Bam rolling hard to the rim. 3 layers of decision-making from one single action, and every option results in a good shot. No defense in the league can cover all 3 simultaneously. Someone is always open. In transition, even more dangerous. Giannis running full speed in open floor is already one of the hardest things to stop in basketball. Now put LeBron ahead, pushing pace while Giannis sprints ahead and Bam trails as the safety valve. 3 players who all know exactly where to be without being told.
Under Eric Spoelstra, who Tim Legland called potentially the best coach in the NBA, that collective IQ becomes a weapon no Eastern Conference team has a ready answer for.
Miami could also run inverted actions with Giannis handling at the top while LeBron moves off the ball as a screener or cutter. Every scheme in the league is trained to track LeBron with the ball. When he's moving without it, the entire defensive structure becomes a nightmare. No correct answer exists. Every rotation creates a problem somewhere else on the floor. But here's where reality pushes back. The financial obstacles are real, and the roster situation is genuinely complicated. After the Giannis trade, Miami entered hard cap territory at the first apron. The best they could realistically offer LeBron, either full mid-level exception, somewhere around $15 million per season. LeBron made $52.6 million this past year. That gap isn't a negotiating detail, it's a structural wall. For LeBron to come to Miami, he'd have to take a massive pay cut, a sacrifice that would have to be driven purely by championship motivation and emotional connection to the city, because the money simply cannot match what the Lakers or other teams could offer. The roster depth beyond Giannis and Bam is also considerably thin. The trade cost Miami Herro, Jaquez, and 5 picks. Beyond the 2 stars, the most notable contributors are Andrew Wiggins and Bobby Portis. Paul Pierce acknowledged he liked what the Heat did, but said they still need more pieces. Magic Johnson placed Miami in the Eastern Conference conversation alongside the Knicks, but didn't call them champions. Tim Legler said Giannis puts them on the map, but noted they still need shooting and playmaking around him. The bones are elite. The depth isn't there yet. And that's what makes today's salary cap rules so much harder to navigate than they were back in 2010. The second apron restrictions and luxury tax penalties make assembling 3 stars at once exponentially more difficult than it was during the original Big Three era. The hard cap limits free agency moves in ways those earlier teams never had to deal with. And yet, Pat Riley has never let complicated stop him. This is the man who put Shaquille O'Neal and Dwayne Wade together when nobody thought Miami could pull it off. The man who orchestrated the decision and brought LeBron, Wade, and Bosh together in one summer. The man who found Jimmy Butler and built finals teams in 2020 and 2023 around a player nobody else believed in. His track record of winning roster construction battles under financial pressure is unmatched in the history of this sport. If there's a creative path through this maze, Pat Riley is the person most likely to find it, which is exactly why the LeBron conversation never died down even after the obstacles became clear. Because the emotional and competitive logic was so powerful that insiders kept leaving the door open. Barry Jackson didn't say impossible, he said long shot, and then added that nothing could be ruled out. That careful, precise phrasing from someone with direct knowledge of how this organization operates is not accidental.
Former players and media voices were largely bullish on what Miami already built. Magic Johnson put the Heat alongside the Knicks in the Eastern Conference picture. ESPN analysts broke down lineup fits in detail. Basketball creators spent hours building tactical breakdowns, and every single one of those conversations ended in the same place. What if LeBron was the third piece? What if the player who learned how to win in Miami came back to win one more time? If this happened, the Eastern Conference would have no prepared answer. The Boston Celtics, who reportedly offered a package including Jaylen Brown and future picks to try to land Giannis before Miami won out, would be staring at a team in their own conference that just assembled arguably the 2 most physically dominant forwards in basketball history. Brad Stevens declined to comment on how close Boston came when reporters asked directly. That silence said everything. The Knicks, the Pacers, the Cavaliers, the Bucks in full rebuild. Every relevant team in the East would have to completely rethink their entire approach. Miami wouldn't just be a favorite. They'd be the team every other organization was spending their entire offseason trying to figure out how to compete with. The playoff matchup problems alone are worth thinking about. Giannis attacking in the post or off the dribble against any single defender in the league? Nobody has found a reliable answer to that. Pair that with Bam as the defensive anchor who can switch onto anyone on the floor, and Miami's defensive flexibility would allow them to guard virtually any offensive system in the NBA without breaking down. Add LeBron, whose playoff experience, pace control, and decision-making in big moments have been unmatched for 2 decades, and Eric Spoelstra suddenly has 3 Hall of Fame-level players giving him real-time adjustment options during games. No other coaching staff in basketball would have access to that. And that brings everything back to where it needs to end. Because this isn't just about tactics or cat math or who wins the East. This is about one of the most powerful stories in modern professional sports. LeBron James built his legend in Miami. He arrived there as a young superstar who had never proven he could win when the entire world was watching. He left as a champion, as a transformed player, as someone who finally understood what competing at the highest level truly meant.
Miami made LeBron the player who could go back to Cleveland and deliver a championship, the player who could lead the Lakers to a title in a bubble during a pandemic. Every version of LeBron that came after Miami was built on a foundation that Miami created. And now that same city has Giannis Antetokounmpo, the most physically dominant player of his generation, waiting. It has Bam Adebayo, who never left, who stayed through every tough stretch, who dropped 83 points in a single game this year and completely redefined what this franchise could accomplish. It has Pat Riley, who has spent his entire career assembling the greatest players on the planet and building championship teams around them. It has Eric Spoelstra, who won 2 titles coaching LeBron and has grown into an even more complete tactical mind in the years since they last shared a sideline. Nothing can be ruled out. And in a summer where Pat Riley just made the most aggressive, most expensive roster move this franchise has attempted since the decision itself, those 4 words carry more real weight than almost anything else being said about this league right now. The Heat made their move. The door is open. The stage is set. The only question left, the one the entire basketball world is waiting to have answered, is whether LeBron James decides that the city where his legend was born is also the city where it deserves to end.